For Comedy Hype News, I'm Ashley J. Many hip-hop fans view Tupac's acting career as an extension of his rap career, similar to that of his counterparts like Will Smith and Ice Cube. But unlike his rap associates, who went on to become acclaimed actors, Tupac was classically trained in theater before he ever spit his first bar. Sure, Tupac is among the best-selling music artists of all time, and yes, the albums Me Against the World and All Eyes on Me are considered some of the most legendary in hip-hop. But those closest to Tupac know that there was a depth to him that could only be expressed through the characters he played. He showed a great deal of promise as an actor from childhood up until his untimely death, enough to share the possibility that he could have been more successful as an actor than he ever was as a rapper. Tupac Amaru Shakur, born Lassane Parish Crooks in 1971, started writing plays and poetry as early as 6 years old. His writing came as an outlet from the harsh childhood he faced, marked by poverty and homelessness. He and his family, led by his mother, the late Black Panther Afeni Shakur, moved from temporary homes and shelters between the Bronx and Harlem. But through their struggles, Afeni managed to support Pac's creativity, enrolling him in the 127th Street Ensemble in Harlem at 12 years old. This was the future rap star's first experience on a theater stage. He played Travis in A Raisin in the Sun at the famous Apollo Theater. He was the only child in the cast. Tupac developed an early understanding of what it meant to become a character playing a role. He once recalled, "When I was young, I was quiet, withdrawn. I read a lot, wrote poetry. I stayed in front of the television. It was when I was in front of the TV by myself, being alone in the house, having to cook dinner by myself, eat by myself, just being by myself and looking at TV, at families, and all these people out there in this pretend world. I thought if I could be and act like those characters, I could have some of their joy. If I could act like I had a big family, I wouldn't feel as lonely." In 1984, when Afeni lost her job and the family became homeless once again, they moved to Baltimore in search of a better life. Although they still struggled greatly financially, Tupac was able to push through the adversity and pass the audition to attend Baltimore School for the Arts, where he studied theater and ballet in 1986. Upon his arrival at the school, everyone knew he was something special. Donald Hicken, who was then the head of BSA's theater department, recalls of Tupac's audition. "It was so good, and the first thing I noticed was that he was extremely charismatic. From the very beginning, we all sensed he was the real deal." The 3 years he attended BSA were marked by constant reading, studying Shakespeare, performing in school plays, and meeting his closest friends in the school, John Cole and Jada Pinkett. A then fellow theater major and future Hollywood star, Pinkett Smith remembers Tupac during their teenage years. She says in the book Tupac Remembered, "He loved Shakespeare. Acting was a part of his spirit. He really loved it." Tupac, Jada, and John Cole were a close-knit group. Cole recalls of that time, "We'd go to parties and he'd be doing stand-up with 10 or 15 people around him cracking up. He would do different characters. One of my favorites was this old drunk black man named Redbone, who was always staggering around, running into things. Redbone would always get on my nerves after a while. Tupac would stay in character for 2 or 3 days at a time." In an autobiographical documentary, Tupac, Resurrection, Tupac said of his time at BSA,
"I loved my classes. We were exposed to everything.
Theater, ballet, listening to different types of music. I would have been a totally different person had I not been exposed to these things." Just before his senior year, Tupac would enter Hicken's office teary-eyed with the unfortunate news that he had to leave Baltimore. His family was surrounded by violence and strife. With no father present, Tupac had to care for his younger sister, Setua. Despite Donald Hicken's offer to find a host family for Shakur to live with so he could complete his senior year at BSA, he and his family moved to Marin City, California. By 18 years old, Tupac had dropped out of high school, was selling drugs, and pursuing rap full-time. The pursuit of rap led him to his first movie role, having accompanied Digital Underground's Money B to an audition for the film Juiced in New York. Money B and Tretch of Naughty by Nature were among those who were up for the role of Bishop. Although Tupac had no intention to audition, he went up to the film's producer and asked for a chance. He made it past 6 weeks of auditions and got the part. For Spike Lee's longtime cinematographer, Ernest Dickerson's directorial debut, Tupac starred in Juice alongside Khalil Kain, Jermaine Hopkins, and Omar Epps in January of 1992. In the book Tupac, A Thug Life, Hopkins, who plays Steel, revealed, "Bishop wasn't even as much a threat on paper until Pac brought that character to life. A lot of people have said about Pac that after playing that character in Juice, he started acting like that. But he played that role to get that role. He was that in the audition for real." It's been said that the intensity that Tupac brought to that set, which led him to throwing a chair in the audition, remained throughout the production of the film. While recording his debut album, Tupacalypse Now, he was the wild card of the set, a persona that became more and more prevalent in his career and his personal life. In July of 1993, Pac joined the cast of John Singleton's second directorial effort, Poetic Justice. The romantic drama starred Janet Jackson, Regina King, and Joe Torre. In a role that was meant for Ice Cube, Tupac plays Lucky, the love interest of Justice, played by Janet. Poetic Justice released at #1 in the box office and was met with mixed reviews, but Tupac and Janet Jackson's performances were praised, mainly their on-screen chemistry. Tupac told E! News that playing Lucky was therapeutic. I needed to do a part like this. It would let me look inward to see where I was as a person, as a human being, and it left me with some good foundation to move on. I like to think that I do my thing for the young black man. This is just another way, since my rapping is geared mostly toward a certain crowd. Poetic Justice was released 2 years before the rapper's acclaimed Me Against the World album, which arguably solidified him as one of the best rappers in the game. But Poetic Justice came out before the album's biggest single, Dear Mama, and before Keep Your Head Up. So John Singleton felt strongly enough at the time to tell Tupac that he should quit rapping and stick to acting. In an interview with Daily Beast, he revealed, "When we were working initially, he wasn't that good a rapper. I was like, you alright, but you a better actor." He was like, "F you, man, hip-hop is my voice." Singleton added, "He couldn't see it. I'm stupid for saying it, but also, he couldn't see it. He couldn't see how one thing could beget the other." Although Tupac would become known as one of the most talented rappers of all time, his short-lived acting career was just as impressive. Even with only 2 films under his belt, Tupac has shown more depth and range than any of his rapper-turned-actor counterparts. He didn't shy away from roles that were opposite of his character. In fact, he sought after them. He didn't have to be told what to do on set like some of his peers who were thrown into the field. His ability was innate and his classical training was evident. In June of 1993, for a full circle moment, Tupac guest starred in an episode of The Cosby Show spinoff, A Different World, alongside former BSA classmate and close friend Jada Pinkett. For his TV debut, Tupac played Piccolo, the streetwise ex-boyfriend of Lena James, played by Jada. The season 6 episode, Homie Don't You Know Me, directed by cast member Kadeem Hardison, is praised as one of the series' best and one of Tupac's best efforts as an actor. For the Allison Interviews podcast, Hardison revealed, "I always felt like I loved Tupac as a rapper, but I was jealous of him as an actor because I just thought he had such range. He could touch places that I didn't know if I could go." John Singleton and Tupac were set to team up once again for the director's 1995 film Higher Learning. However, amidst the rapper's trial for rape charges and being shot during an attempted robbery in 1994, the studio producing the movie forced the director to cut Tupac or scrap the film. He was going to have the lead role as Malik, which was given to his former co-star Omar Epps. Tupac's dynamic street persona landed him a part in the 1994 fan favorite Above the Rim, where he plays another hardcore villain, Birdie. The next few movies that Tupac starred in would be released posthumously. The rapper was slain in a 1996 drive-by shooting that remains unresolved. In 1997, 4 months after Tupac's passing, Gridlocked was released starring Tupac as Spoon, a heroin addict who tries to kick the habit after his bandmate Cookie, played by Thandie Newton, overdoses. During a touching moment of foreshadowing in Shakur's real life, Spoon asked Stretch, played by Tim Roth, "Ever feel like your luck's running out?" "Lately, I've been feeling like my luck's running out." Later that year, Tupac starred in Gang-Related as Jake Rodriguez, a crooked police officer. When asked how he could play the role of a cop after all his troubles with the law, he responded, "Who can play a cop better? I've seen them when they're evil, when they think nobody's looking. I've seen the compassion, I've seen the anger, I've seen the jealousy, I've seen the fear, I've seen respect, and I've seen hate from cops, more than anybody. I got arrested like 12 times last year. For that reason alone, I'm perfect for the role." The shoot wrapped 2 weeks before Tupac was killed, making it his final film appearance. John Singleton told Essence magazine that he had big plans for Tupac before his passing. He said, "I wanted him to be my Robert De Niro." He told the Television Foundation Academy, "The last time we spoke, I said, I got the movie that's going to get you an Oscar nomination, and we were supposed to have a meeting and lunch, and within a week, he was gone." The movie that he had written with Tupac in mind was Baby Boy. Tupac was set to star as Jody before his death in 1996, and the film was consequently shelved. The movie came out in 2001, and Jody was played by R&B singer Tyrese Gibson for his film debut. You can find Pac's honor in the film with his poster hanging on the wall in Jody's room. We were going to grow together. When you see Baby Boy now, his presence and soul are still in that movie. John Singleton. What if Tupac had lived to be the Robert De Niro to Singleton's Martin Scorsese? Imagine the rapper as Roman in Too Fast, Too Furious, or Angel in Four Brothers. It's very likely that the accolades for the two as a duo would have overflowed. Those who worked with Tupac cite the work ethic and sense of urgency of someone who knew his time was running out. Constant tardiness, running from set to studio 24/7. The irony of it all is that his longest running role, that of Hollywood's misfit, may have led to his demise. Tupac's close friend and former BSA classmate John Cole once said, "When he got into all the thug stuff, that really wasn't so interesting to me. That was so predictable." I think he eventually got bored of that role, but he was stuck. Maybe the only way to get out of that role was to die. Some might say that Pac's thug life was the ultimate act, and it cost him his life. But the alternative is that maybe it only seems he was playing a role because he was just a complicated person. Jada Pinkett shared, "You have to understand, 5 people lived in that cat. The political activist, the young man that loved to go out and party, get drunk and high. You had the artist, the fighter, the lover. There were 10 Tupacs in one. He was just a really layered individual. There was nothing simple about him." Did playing the role of a thug cost Tupac his life, or was it all just a part of who he was? Regardless, Pac's life and work will impact the culture for generations to come. The Kendricks, the Kanyes, the Will Smiths, and the Ice Cubes have Pac to thank for creating a lane for even the hardest rappers to be seen as creative, sensitive, revolutionary, and artists. Stay up to date with the latest news in comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel. Follow Comedy Hype across all social media and look out for original content on our new streaming service at comedyhype.com.